Chapter 5. The Function and Use of Keys. The veil was taken from our minds, and the eyes of our understanding were opened. D&C 110:1. The value of any key is in its use and function. If you should find a ring of keys along the road, you would have a problem in knowing what they are for, and without that knowledge, they would be worthless to you. If such a perplexing situation arises over small temporal keys, what greater problems can arise over spiritual keys? Men use keys and locks to open up their temporal treasures. God uses keys to open up the treasures of his kingdom. A key without a lock, or a lock without a key, is of no value. Furthermore, if they are not protecting anything of value, they are still worthless. The greater the value of that which is protected, the greater the value of the keys. This can also be applied to spiritual keys as well. All keys have one thing in common: they are meant to operate, function, or perform some useful act. If they do not achieve this, then of what value are they? Going back to the analogy of car keys, if someone has the key to a car but doesn't know how to drive, is the key of much value to him? So it is with spiritual keys. They must first be located and identified, and then put to use. Even if persons have genuine keys but are not functioning with them, they are of no more worth than having the wrong keys or not having any keys at all. Anyone can claim spiritual keys, and many do, but the real worth of their keys is determined by how they function with them. Many questions continually arise regarding spiritual keys. 1. Who has them? 2. How are they being used? 3. Does the LDS Church still have priesthood keys? 4. Can anyone outside the church have priesthood keys? 5. How can someone lose priesthood keys? Today we are in a situation worse than a century ago. In 1856, Wilford Woodruff chastised the priesthood holders for their lack of valiancy in their use of priesthood keys. The Lord has given you the keys of the priesthood, with all the blessings pertaining to it, as great and as mighty a work as ever was committed to any man on the earth, and that too in the midst of the last dispensation and fullness of times. The Lord requires us to prepare this generation, both Jew and Gentile, either for salvation or damnation, through the proclamation of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and the administering of the ordinances of the house of God, and we go to sleep. The apostles go to sleep, the 70s go to sleep, the elders of Israel close their eyes to slumber, and we, the only people God has on the earth, upon whose shoulders he has laid the responsibility of performing this great and mighty work. Disc of Wilford Woodruff, ed. by G. Homer Durham, page 327. If there are as many keys to the holy priesthood today, where are they functioning, or are the elders still asleep? The keys to priesthood are the means of making priesthood function. The wrong key will not make a door open, function, nor can the wrong key make priesthood function. Claims to possess keys to certain doors, or claims to hold priesthood keys, are just that, only claims, until they function properly. Everyone has at one time or another used the wrong key in a car ignition, and it has resulted in confusion, embarrassment, and futility regardless of how hard we try, twist, or turn the key. It may look like the right key, it may be made by the right manufacturer, it may be stamped with the right car model, and it may even fit into the key opening, but if it is the wrong key, it will not work. So it is with priesthood keys. Someone claiming keys to priesthood may not have the right keys, or may be trying to use some keys incorrectly. On the surface, everything may seem to be correct: a righteous cause, proper ordinations, authentic offices, and even apparent true manifestations, but they cannot produce the right, authorized results. Using anything other than the right keys, or directions from God, will result in a blockage to their priesthood power, and their keys will not function properly. And if such actions are pursued long enough, it may result in apostasy. The keys of the priesthood can function only through the proper use of the priesthood. There are specific guidelines and restrictions that must be followed, or they will not work. Did you ever have a key duplicated, but when you tried to use it in the car, it did not work? Why not? Simply because it was not perfectly matched to the original. Neither can men make the keys of the priesthood function unless they follow the exact procedure initially given to them from God. Unibly quoted. The impression made on the modern mind, writes I.E.S. Edwards, is that of a people searching in the dark for a key to truth, and, having found not one but many keys resembling the pattern of the lock, retaining all lest perchance the appropriate one should be discarded. The Ancient State, Unibly, page 313. And so it is today. Many people are grasping at straws, following different people who claim to have keys with the hope of finding the right keys to heaven's blessings. It is a haphazard attempt to obtain the treasures of heaven without following the correct roadmap to achieve them. Too often pretentious men seeking to be a light to the world have deceived many souls. The prophet Joseph once said, "A fanciful and flowery and heated imagination beware of, because the things of God are of deep import, and time and experience, and careful and ponderous and solemn thoughts can only find them out. Thy mind, O man, if thou wilt lead a soul unto salvation, must stretch as high as the utmost heavens, and search into and contemplate the darkest abyss, and the broad expanse of eternity thou must commune with God. How much more dignified and noble are the thoughts of God than the vain imaginations of the human heart? None but fools will trifle with the souls of men." TPJS, page 137. Imitations, substitutions, and duplications sometimes appear to be genuine, but eventually they prove to be a deceptive and dangerous pitfall. Today you might say that the elders of Israel represent a huge parking lot filled with cars, and none of them are moving because no keys are being used. Occasionally, on the fringe, there are a few cars that slowly move, but they seem to be going in the wrong direction. The proper function of priesthood keys should be the same today as anciently. But where are the fruits? Obviously, somewhere along the way something has gone wrong. In describing the proper function of priesthood keys, we conclude this chapter with the poignant words of Hugh Nibley. Repeat. Over whom does it priesthood exercise power? Then, over the spirits and over the elements, never over one's fellow men, whose free agency is absolute and inalienable. Christ commanded the spirits, and they obeyed him. He commanded the elements, and they obeyed him. But men he would not command, and rebuked the apostles at Capernaum for suggesting it. How often would I have gathered you together, and ye would not? What, then, is the priesthood on this earth? It is what Brigham Young and the 12 wrote in the Times and Seasons in 1839. They call the priesthood an onerous duty, a load to be borne. Very few men on earth, including those in the church, are really qualified. In terms of prestige, status, power, influence, pleasure, privilege, power, and authority, and riches, 3 Nephi 6:37, the priesthood has absolutely nothing to offer. The world laughs at it, the Latter-day Saints abuse or ignore it, those who take it seriously do so in fear and trembling. Printed in Sunstone, December 1990, page 11.